Before we dive into today's incredible story, take a moment to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Every week we uncover hidden treasures, forgotten coins, and the powerful stories behind them. Now, let's begin our journey into a coin that has left collectors speechless and historians amazed, the 1975 South African 20-cent coin. Now, you might think a 20-cent piece is just pocket change, something that jingles in your hand and disappears at the bottom of a drawer. But the truth is, every coin tells a story, and sometimes that story turns out to be worth millions. Literally millions. Picture the mid-1970s. South Africa was standing at a crossroads, a time of economic shifts, political tension, and quiet transformation. The year 1975, a year when coins were still struck with pride, with precision, and with a certain artistry that's rare today. These weren't just bits of metal, they were national symbols, small round messengers of identity and history. And in that year, the South African Mint produced a 20-cent coin that would, decades later, capture the imagination of collectors across the world. This coin, simple, copper-nickel in appearance, carried on one side the familiar portrait of Jan van Riebeeck, the Dutch colonial administrator whose face once defined the nation's currency. On the other side, a delicate design of the protea flower, South Africa's national emblem, gracefully spread its petals. At first glance, nothing unusual. Millions were made. People spent them every day on newspapers, on a loaf of bread, or maybe a cup of coffee at a roadside cafe. But here's where the story takes a turn. Somewhere between design and production, between history and happenstance, something rare happened. A small batch of these coins was struck differently, an experimental minting, some say, or perhaps an error run. The details are debated even today. The metal composition, the die alignment, even the finish, subtle differences that most eyes would never notice. But for the trained eye, the numismatist, the historian, those details are everything. For decades, these special 20-cent pieces sat unnoticed, passing from hand to hand, from pocket to pocket, until time buried them in collections, drawers, and forgotten jars of loose change. And then, as coin collectors began to dig deeper into the archives of the South African Mint, whispers started spreading. A rumor of an ultra-rare 1975 issue, a coin that shouldn't exist, but somehow did. That rumor grew. Coin hunters from around the world began to examine every 1975 piece they could find. Some found common coins. Others found slight variations, but one man, one determined collector, found something truly different. His discovery would become the stuff of legend. It was a quiet evening, as he sorted through his late father's coin collection, dusty albums stacked high in an old wooden cabinet. Among the silver and bronze glimmers, a modest 20-cent coin caught his attention. The luster was unusual. The metal seemed almost too bright, the edges too clean. And when he compared it to another from the same year, the difference was clear. This coin wasn't like the rest. After months of verification, expert analysis, and authentication, the truth emerged. This was one of only a handful of 1975 20-cent coins ever produced in that unique strike. Some call it a proof pattern issue, others an experimental die trial. But whatever its origin, it became one of the rarest coins ever to come out of South Africa. The discovery sent ripples through the coin world. Collectors, investors, and museums all wanted to see it. Coin fairs buzzed with speculation. Experts argued over its true rarity, its historical context, and, of course, its value. And that's when the story began to climb beyond history, into legend, because you see, value in coins isn't just about metal. It's about mystery, rarity, and the emotional pull of history. It's about holding something that connects you directly to another time, another generation. For many men who lived through those years, 1975 wasn't just a date, it was a memory. A time of change, of youth, of working hard and building futures. Owning a piece of that time, especially one that shouldn't even exist, feels like owning a secret chapter of history. Collectors began to bid higher and higher whenever one of these pieces surfaced. First a few $1,000s, then tens of thousands. Each sale drew more attention, each discovery fed more excitement. And when one pristine, uncirculated specimen finally went under the hammer, in a private sale that stunned even the most seasoned collectors, the final price reached a number that no one thought possible: $12 million. Yes, you heard that right. A 20-cent coin, once worth less than the price of a cup of tea, sold for $12 million. And now, some might ask, how can that be? How can something so small, so ordinary, hold such extraordinary value? But that's the beauty of numismatics, the study and love of coins. Value isn't just measured in metal, it's measured in meaning. The story, the rarity, the craftsmanship, and the deep emotional connection between past and present, that's what collectors pay for. Imagine the feeling of holding that coin in your hand. It's not heavy, yet it carries the weight of an era. Every detail etched into its surface tells a story of a nation, of change, of craftsmanship, and of the quiet possibility that greatness can hide in the most unexpected places. And maybe, just maybe, it makes you wonder what treasures might be sitting in your own collection, waiting to be rediscovered. That jar of coins you haven't touched in years, that little box from your father or grandfather, perhaps it holds something rare, something that connects you to a piece of history. So next time you come across an old coin, don't just glance and move on. Take a closer look. Because sometimes, the smallest pieces tell the biggest stories. And remember, the 1975 South African 20-cent coin, once an everyday piece of change, now stands as one of the rarest and most valuable coins ever to leave the mint. Its legacy isn't just in its metal, but in the mystery and magic that surrounds it. A coin once worth 20 cents, today valued at a breathtaking $12 million. So if you haven't yet, subscribe now, because stories like this, they're just the beginning. There are more hidden treasures, more untold tales, and more incredible discoveries waiting to be uncovered. Stay curious, keep collecting, and never underestimate the power of history in the palm of your hand.